That's me. I've been a composer for all my life, though I haven't really lived that long and I still kind of look the same. But I always loved to use music to tell a story. In my senior year in high school, when I was really mature, I suddenly realized that, oh my God, all the music that I composed kind of sounded the same. Like my music teacher was comforting me, saying that, no, that's just your style, but I'm like, no. I'm gonna enroll in a research program. And so basically I studied under a music professor from Oberlin College of the psychology behind the structure of music. And I'm like, I'm gonna be a better composer now. But instead, something unexpected happened. So after I wrote a 25-page research paper, you can see the wisdom in her eyes, my perception of music transformed from just being a creative outlet to more of a cognitive tool that we can use in our daily lives. And that is what I'm here to share with you today. So, I would like to start with a little game. And I'm going to play this recording, and I'll ask you whether you would consider this as music.
This is a recording of me talking, but the more I repeat it, the stranger it sounds. The more I repeat it, the stranger it sounds. The more I repeat it, the more I repeat it, repeat it.
I bet at the start you were like, what is this girl talking about? It's literally her talking into her phone. But the more this phrase was repeated, the more it began to sound like it has musical pitches. This is called the speech-to-song illusion, first discovered in 1995, like 10 years before I was born, by Diana Duich. Basically, if you repeat a spoken phrase over and over again, it will begin to sound like it has song-like qualities. If you repeat it a bit more, add a beat, you can start rapping a little bit like Cardi B. So now that we've made it clear, music is really just in our mind. It's just sound plus repetition. Now, the next question is, how do these repeated sounds tell a story? With that, I would like you to imagine a random person in a movie scene. Let's just call him Brian. So we know nothing about Brian, but I will play a little bit of background music for him. So, how do we feel about Brian? We like him? Maybe a bit sneaky, a bit of a weirdo. Like, I definitely wouldn't want to sit beside him if I was watching a TED Talk. I don't know about you. But now, I'm going to change one little note and see how we feel about him. Still wouldn't want to sit beside him because he seems a bit melodramatic, like he just broke up with his girlfriend or something. But our perception of him changed from Brian the villain to Brian the hero. We literally know nothing about him, by the way. Like, he has a big white question mark in the middle of his face. But our perception of him completely changed. Why is that? The answer is pretty simple. Music carries memories. Even though you may not remember every single film that you watched and what music got paired to it, but there's this term in psychology called classical conditioning. So it's sort of working its way in the back of your head where when a specific type of music is paired with a context, our brain links the two together. And this conditioning actually started way before movies were born, like our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, where we were still hunter-gatherers and, chilling, picking berries, hunting animals, and suddenly we hear this footstep. And we're like, oh, what is happening? And then this deep growl of a beast. I thought I was going to be louder, but you get the point. So our memories linked with music goes way before. It's baked in our DNA. And of course, going out of your comfort zone with music makes us feel scared. And that made me realize, it's something similar. If music is just sound plus repetition and we can tell stories with that, our comfort zones are actually just our own actions plus repetition. However, the stories that we tell about ourselves around our comfort zones has way more repercussions than just watching a horror film and seeing Brian's head pop out in the middle of nowhere. And it affects our actions, our decisions, and our future. And also, unfortunately, growth occurs outside of our comfort zones. So with that in mind, I decided to take a solo train trip across the United States last winter. Well, mostly because my plane ticket back to Shanghai was way too expensive, like it's a crime. So I did this instead. I really scared my parents, but I brought 2 things with me. So first, I brought a pepper spray, which I cling on to so tightly, tighter than this clicker, and I had it with me in the middle of the night, in the middle of the day when I was going to bed, and I was ready to spray at every pigeon that just pops out of nowhere, like Brian. And the second thing is, I brought my computer with me to compose music. So I wanted to create a unique musical memory for each of these cities that I traveled to. So when I look back, I can remember the memories of the senses. Because remember, music was baked in our DNA way before we all were born. So in this comfort zone model, when I first got off the train, it was 3 a.m. in Washington, D.C. Like, who came up with those schedules? And I was walking down the street, more of running, and I was like, oh my God, that's a rat. But I thought, all the architecture around, they were so grand and so white, and it reminded me of opera, like a bit like Cats. You know, the rat and the cat, but. So the musical memory and the playlist that I built sounds a bit like this. Walking down the streets of Washington, D.C., there are so many museums. I don't know where to go. I actually don't sing opera, but if you heard someone sing in the shower, that's probably me. And, okay, the next stop, like a bit after a few cities, I thought I was going to be brave, but I arrived at Salt Lake City at 10 p.m., again, with the schedules, come on. And it was so cold, there wasn't any pigeons to spray at. But I thought, my friends recommended me the musical The Book of Mormon. So my musical memory sounded a bit like, hello, my name is Elder Price, and I am here to share with you the most amazing book. So I wasn't that scared anymore. After returning back to Babson, I was ready. When everyone asked me, how was your winter break? I was like, yeah, you know what? I traveled all across the United States. But I realized that that identity just slowly faded away, and words couldn't really convey all the senses, all the wonder and curiosity that I experienced through. However, music did. So when I felt overwhelmed, when I started telling myself stories that didn't really serve me and started drawing that comfort zone, I listened to the soundtrack of bravery, of curiosity, of wonder. And it wakened this part of me that was asleep when I'm in the safe environment. So when I felt scared, when I was waiting in the backstage, like I'm gonna come on now, instead of imagining everyone as cabbages, like how a lot of people tell me to, I listened to the music and I felt like I was on the train again. And I remembered the part of me that was courageous, that I could take risks. I could go in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night, which I probably shouldn't do again. Sorry, Mom. So this is the power of music. And I want to challenge you. The next time that you may be out of your comfort zone, facing your inner monsters, how can you use music to remind yourself and tap into the part of you that is already courageous? Thank you.